So welcome everyone to a special conversation. Uh, in February, Lon Setnik from the Center for Medical Simulation was invited to participate in the Healthcare Training and Innovation Conference in Fez, Morocco, the third of these conferences.
James, as you said, I'm grateful to be once again talking to Professor Mohammed Mouhaoui, who is rapidly becoming a friend after we met, I think, for the first time about a year ago, actually a little bit over a year ago now. And we actually met with a common friend between Professor Mouhaoui and my father, a gentleman named Rashid Zbey, who is a paramedic who works in Boston and has worked with my father for a long time, and has also worked on, is originally from Morocco and has worked with Professor Mouhaoui. I wanted to start off the conversation actually by talking about the first time myself and Professor Mouhaoui met. And so, Professor, I'm hoping that you could introduce yourself and then talk a little bit about the basic assumption, because what I remember is the first time we met, you showed me the basic assumption. And as far as I'm aware, you had not had direct contact with the Center for Medical Simulation in Boston, and yet somehow this resonated well with you. And so it really struck me that this was something important to you that you had come across. And so I'm hoping you could talk a little bit about that and how we started working together.
Okay, so thank you very much, Lon. So hello, James. Hello, Lon. I will introduce you. I introduce you myself, and then talking about the history of this basic assumption at the Boston CMS. So first of all, let me tell you that I'm really, really delighted to be able to conduct this podcast with you, both of you. A real pleasure, and I'm really delighted about this. So my name is Mohammed Mouhaoui. I'm a physician, so my specialty is anesthesiology and intensive care, but I'm working a lot in the field of emergency department. So I wear many hats. So first of all, I'm the head of the emergency department at the University Hospital of Casablanca. I'm also a professor at the Faculty of Medicine and Pharmacy of Casablanca. And I'm the pedagogical referent of the Casablanca Sim Centers and coordinator of 2 degrees, one of them about emergency medicine, and the second one about the pedagogy of simulation for healthcare. And I'm also, as you know, Lon, I'm the head of the Morocco Sim, which stands for the Moroccan Society for Health Simulation and Pedagogical Innovation. I am married, I have 3 children, and as I say to everybody, simulation is my 4th child. So, so it's very important to really work with the heart and consider this pedagogical approach as very important for our students. Actually, it's very hard because right now I'm in Marrakesh. I'm working in Casablanca, but right now I'm doing this podcast live from Marrakesh because my family and my in-laws live in Marrakesh, this superb and touristic city. I'm visiting Marrakesh because, as you know, alone as Muslim, we are celebrating the end of the fasting month that we call Ramadan. And at the end of Ramadan, we used to, this is our first religious holiday. And at the end of Ramadan, we used to celebrate this with our families. So this was the introduction of myself. So let's talk now about this basic assumption. So actually, the first connection with CMS Boston, it was several years before because I was doing a lot of research, scientific research about medical simulation center across the world. And the first center that I found over my research, it was normally CMS Boston, okay. I was very impressed about this. I was very impressed about all the pedagogical program you are running in your center. And I was reaching out about how to get the CMS Boston. And at this moment, Rashid Sbai, my best friend in Morocco, make the connection between between me and your father. And Rashid Sbai told me about this notion of basic assumption that it's like a frame that were at the entry of the CMS Boston, and I asked Rashid Sbai, please, I wanna one day to see the original version of the basic assumption. That's why, and then I modified the basic assumption. I modified Boston CMS by Morocco SIM, and it was really a very great success in Morocco.
I love that story, and thank you so much for sharing the background of what you are celebrating with your family right now. Yeah. And just one more brief connection. My family and I went to Marrakesh in 2019 and had a wonderful experience. We felt so welcomed by the people of Morocco, and we have traveled quite a bit extensively with our children. I continue to tell people what a welcoming population the people of Morocco are. I think you told me that it's because you've always lived at the crossroads, and so you've had to welcome all different cultures, and we really felt that when we spent time there. So when Rashid mentioned the possibility of working with people doing great work in simulation in Morocco, I was as excited as my dog sounds to be right now.
The basic assumption, the CMS version, is that we believe that everyone participating in activities at the Center for Medical Simulation is intelligent, capable, cares about doing their best, and wants to improve. Yeah, I was first going to ask you about how you said that the basic assumption was really successful when you implemented it. I'm curious sort of how that landed on folks immediately. Using that, like, how is it different from what came before? And how did folks feel in the moment when you started using it? And then, I would love to hear some of the history of the conference in particular, and how that came to be.
So, James and Lon, I'm really interested to tell you about the history of simulation in Morocco, because HTIC, it was the end point, okay? Because before this, we have a very huge background about developing the development of simulation in Morocco. If you want, I can tell you this in just 2-3 minutes. If you
Yeah, absolutely. Please do.
So let me tell you that history of simulation go back to a little bit about 28. Professor Louadi, it was the ex-minister and my former head of department and ex-dean of the Faculty of the Medicine. So Professor Louadi one day asked me to replace him at a huge pedagogical conference in a Spanish city called Granada. It was a proposal that I gladly accepted, and I was highly motivated to do it, really motivated to do it. So I went to Granada and I presented my lecture and then took a tour of the training institute. I don't know if you know the Simulation Center of Granada. We call it CM80. And then I noticed physician operating, but at the end of procedure, they removed the surgical drapes, and I discovered that it was all simulation. It was really very important for me, because actually I have always loved teaching, but this visit to Granada was to change my life. And it was something like love at first sight of simulation. So after this, I came back to a refresher course in Granada, and where I learned the principles of healthcare for simulation for healthcare, and then returned to Morocco and submitted a project to build a simulation center in Granada. So I submitted the project, and the project was accepted, and I made a whole list of equipment to buy. And I was doing a lot of research. This is the first time that I will be discovering CMS Boston, for example. So I made an exhaustive list because in my mind, I told myself, Mohammed, put the maximum of equipment. That way we will get either half or the minimum. But to my great surprise, everything we asked for was purchased by our faculty. You might say that I'm very lucky, but in fact, having all the equipment wasn't really a good thing. Why? I think for two reasons. The first was that we had not built the simulation center yet, and the second reason was that at this time nobody had really been trained in simulation teaching. So that's why I decided to go to France this time and did a one-year university degree at Paris Descartes University with my master, Dr. François Lecomte. I spent a year learning this principle of simulation, how to manage scenario, how to run debriefing, evaluation process, debriefing, all things about simulation. And then, then I back to Morocco. We start running simulation in a small simulation unit attached to my emergency department. This unit was working every day. We were able to train about hundreds and hundreds of students of medicine. By 2013 to 2014, we have launched a contest that we call SimCap. SimCap is about a contest between medical students, which was a huge success. And after this, in parallel, I will say, more and more instructors began to train in the field of simulation, and which led us to create for the first time our learned society that we call Morocco Sim. So we have launched the Morocco Sim in 2015. And the aim of the Morocco Sim was honestly at the first stage just to let people know about simulation. But once we've started our work, we have more and more people that were convinced about the importance of simulation in the field of the healthcare, So after creating the Morocco Sim, we have organized for the first time a simulation master class. And the unique aspect of this master class that was entirely led by Moroccan, 100% animated by Moroccan instructors. And this master class is considered by something like breeding ground in Morocco for the emergence of simulation center in both medical faculty and nursing schools. And after this, we have a very significant event in 2019 because we have participated with a medical student as a Morocco team in an international competition. And for the first time, Morocco won the competition. It was something like unprecedented event in Morocco. And after this event, we earned a reception by the Ministry of Health, and finally, the simulation was officially recognized by the Institute of Healthcare. That's why we have been thinking about the endpoint. The last stage is to think about organizing a conference, an international conference that we call HTIC, Healthcare Training and International and Innovation Conference. We have like something like adopt at the beginning because it was the first time that we will be organizing a conference about pedagogy. In Morocco, we used to organize more of a scientific conference, but we'll be organizing a pedagogical event. So we organized the first edition in Tangier. Tangier is about a city in the north of Morocco.
Mhm.
And it was a really, 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 as we say, great success. It was very surprising. And we have more than about 700 to 800 participants for the first edition. And the second edition, we organized the second edition in Casablanca, the biggest city in Morocco. It's our economic capital. Also the same thing. And the third edition, we will have the honor to invite and to meet Lon. It was about Fez. Fez in Morocco is something about the spiritual capital of Morocco. And in Fez, we have the university where the first diploma ever in the world was the Senate diploma of human and animal medicine. This is a summary of the history of simulation in Morocco.
And that's a great endpoint too, I think, because Lon, this is the moment where you sort of enter into the story here. So I'm curious about your experience in sort of planning for and delivering the talk that you delivered at this conference.
Actually, I learned a lot about the history of simulation in Morocco just then, so I appreciate that. That was a lot deeper than I had known. And as I said, I had some experience with Morocco just as a vacationer. And in preparation for the conference, I did get to talk to Professor Mouhaoui a few times about expectations and what his goals for me being there would be. And I'll have to say there was quite a bit of uncertainty as to exactly what the experience would be like, but I knew it would be an adventure and quite a bit of fun. And so I was given the topic best practices in healthcare simulation, just a small topic. And so I created an hour-and-a-half presentation on that and actually workshopped it with the CMS team quite a bit. And we came to the conclusion that we really wanted to just talk about our values as an organization. And there are quite a few, for example, Inaxel has a great website where you can use a checklist to kind of ensure that you're following the best practices, but that's slightly different than a deeper dive on the values behind them. And so that's what we wanted to focus on. And an interesting challenge with the conference was it was largely in French. And my French is growing, but not quite there yet. And so it was a great opportunity to stretch myself a little bit. But as I said about Morocco being a very welcoming country, I would say Morocco for Americans is quite similar to California, kind of in size and geography. And I flew into Casablanca, which is on the Atlantic Ocean. And then the plan was to take the train, which is about a 4+ hour train ride to Fez. And it goes through the north of some beautiful mountains and rural areas. And in the last 45 minutes or so coming into Fez on the train, a gentleman spontaneously started talking to me about what I was doing, and he was extremely inviting. And it turned out he was a professional tour guide, and he just told me everything he could about Fez and was really welcoming. And as I arrived, though, I got a text from Professor Mouhaoui that said, "Who are you talking to on the train?" And and I said back in the text message, "Oh, is so-and-so, he's a guide and he's helping me learn about Fez. How did you know?" And he said, "Well, my daughter is sitting right next to him." And so Professor's daughter was actually on the train and saw that there was an American coming to the conference and knew that I might be coming. And so it was almost as if the country was looking out for me and getting ready to welcome me. And so I immediately felt welcomed. And this gentleman, the tour guide, he actually walked me to the hotel to make sure I got there safely. He brought me to one of his favorite places for dinner. And as soon as I settled in, the next morning I woke up and immediately I was welcomed by an international group, people from Tunisia and from France and French-speaking regions of Africa, and a surgeon from Senegal. And everybody was extremely inviting and cordial. And they helped me navigate what would have been a little bit of a difficult situation, because everything really was in French, and my French is fairly basic. So that was kind of my introduction to the conference.
Yeah. Regarding this fact of the French of Lon, your French is like my English, so no problem. And it's very important. We've been texting each other. So Lon send me his messages in French. I correct them, but me, I sending him my message in English. So it was we have like something like live training in our French and English. So thank you for this. And this coincidence is very amazing. My daughter is in the first medical year student in the Faculty of Medicine in Casablanca. So I'm living in Casablanca, but I moved to Fez 2 to 3 days before to get ready for the conference. And my daughter will be joining me for the conference. And once arriving at the hotel, tell me, Dad, I was sitting near an American. Oh, okay, really? Has he blue eyes? Yeah, of course. I think he was sitting near to Lon. And effectively, I asked him if he were sitting near to a girl. He said, yes. I told him she is my daughter. So what a coincidence. Very incredible. So about the HTIC. So Lon has participated with us about his talk about the best practice in simulation healthcare for about 1 hour and a half. This is right, Lon?
Yes.
1 hour. But also you were a member of the judge for judging the best oral communication. And really, Lon, your lecture was very appreciated, because we do at the end of our conference we send a form of evaluation of the session, and you have the one of the best evaluation sessions. So congratulations, Lon. Really.
Oh, thank you. That's very generous.
Maybe next year, if you accept our invitation once again, we will be moving to 3 hours instead of 1 hour and a half. Very important, because people ask me this. They ask me to, as you have to come back again, and if possible, to give you 3 hours instead of 1 hour and a half. For you, James, the HTIC, it's about conference that we lead into 13 tracks, but in parallel. So each track is dedicated for a specific item. For example, the first track about pedagogy and research. Mm-hmm. The second one about e-health and I'm health and digital health. The third one about general medicine. The third about radiology, and then. But we dedicate one track just to run an immersive simulation. And this year, I think Lone will talk about this. We have built a ring of box, and over the ring of the box, we have put the mannequin, and we have run a lot of immersive scenario about emergency medicine and resuscitation. And Lon also, he had put the hat, the traditional hat of Morocco, the tarbouch. Do you have it? Okay, he will bring it. Yes, put it. I will take a photo with this.
It's right next to my desk as a reminder of the wonderful experience.
You know what, Lon? You look like a Fez citizen.
I'm taking a photo as well.
That's right.
So one other thing that happened, these were donated by the HTIC conference to us, and one of the medical students who was part of the host organization was having all of the faculty sign one of the Fez traditional hats. And it was a great vehicle for getting to talk to the medical students. And so I learned a lot by just having a casual conversation with some of the medical students who I found to be incredibly well-spoken, thoughtful, and I am excited that they are joining the world's healthcare team. Obviously in Morocco, they're really working hard to develop medical students and nursing students who are ready to help their patients.
I don't know how things are in the States, but in Morocco, we, as professor of medicine, we try to get closer to our medical students.
Mhm.
The more closer we are, the best pedagogical aspect we will have. And it's very important to keep this way of acting toward our medical students. And Lon have noticed this because in our conference, the staff, it's about 50% of attendees about the organizing committee is about medical students. So we trust in them, and actually the result was very, very amazing.
I mean, even what we teach now, a lot of what we talk about as we train folks in debriefing is that the best debriefer, when they go into the debriefing, is there as a participant in the conversation. They're bringing their authentic self to the conversation. It's not a distance where you're coming in to teach them. It's you're taking part in a learning conversation with them. So I do really connect with that, yes.
And it makes sense. It makes sense of the importance of this benevolence in teaching by simulation. We cannot tell them, okay, we are kind, we are benevolent toward you, but you have to act it in real life. Just not say it. You have to act with this.
Absolutely.
So I'm curious, we've talked a little bit about HTIC 2024, which is taking place in
Oujda.
Oujda. Okay, thank you.
I will spell Oujda. So Oujda, Oujda, Oujda.
Oujda.
Okay.
That is about a city in the eastern of Morocco. But I will tell you something. The choice of city is not just Azadus. We try to move to city just to launch activity of simulation in this city.
Absolutely.
So we try to move to those faculties as we are able to push them, to give them this initial stage to start simulation, as we did with Tangier, with Casablanca, with Fez, and next year, 2025 in Oujda, from 20 to 22. You've noticed, Lon, in fact, they have launched this building. Did you visit it? It's a wonderful building that we call Celeste. And it was the first time that we've been really acting and working in Celeste across the several floors of the building. And in Oujda, they have also a medical simulation center, and we are moving to Oujda also to give them a very, very big push.
That makes sense because many of the people that I met who were kind of, I would say, the leaders of the conference were from Tangier. And I didn't make the connection that they had that presence because they've actually had their had simulation launched into their city by the HTIC conference to some extent. And
First,
I do hope,
yes.
yeah, and I do hope that that they are able to join us in a program with CMS at some point as well, because they brought amazing energy.
Yeah. And many people ask me, what's your preferred edition? Tangier, Casablanca, and Fez. I told them, all the edition are my babies, my children. But I have a good memories of the first edition because it was the first time we did it. So I think Tangier will stay the best edition ever.
So I'd be curious, what do you think is next? What's most important for simulation in North Africa and in Morocco?
Yeah. So I think right now simulation in Morocco is something like basic. Okay, no problem. We have introduced simulation into all the schools of medicine, all the schools of medicine, no problem. Right now, we have to put more energy, more effort about the innovation aspect, like artificial intelligence in pedagogical aspect, like virtual reality, like augmented reality, and we try also to develop several aspects about telesimulation. And also we try to give a very good push for telehealth. We have a lot of telehealth machine in Morocco, across Morocco, but people who are becoming young doctor, are not comfortable with using telehealth in our daily practice. So we have to launch some module to teach them, to train them about using telemedicine, telehealth in their future practice. So if you ask me what will be our priority this year, it will be about teaching telehealth to our young doctors.
That's really exciting. Yeah, we'll have to connect you. We've had a number of folks come through our center who that's sort of their primary area of practice. We had two physicians from Alaska in the United States, which is the really large part not connected to the rest of the country. And there aren't a ton of roads in the parts of the state that they're working in. And so their primary area of focus is basically training local people who are not clinicians to be sort of the avatar of the physician who's doing the telehealth. So if someone needs an intervention, how do you direct that intervention to the local community when there isn't any sort of trained clinician in that community? But thank you so much, Lon. Thank you so much, Professor Mouhaoui, for joining us. It's really a pleasure to have you here. I learned an amazing amount.
Thank you, James. Thank you, Lon. I hope meeting you next Sunday, inshallah, as we say.
So Professor Mouhaoui is on his way to do a week in Stanford.
Oh, wonderful.
David Gaba and his team.
So I'm very excited about meeting Gaba. I'm a big fan of him. So it will be a dream.
And he's flying through Boston next weekend. So I'm hoping to be able to come down and have dinner. As I am learning to say, inshallah.
Yeah.